BraveFathers.com.
Welcome to the Brave Fathers Show. And now, the prophecy.
Modern males losing. Are men losing today? Is the gender war not going our way? Is that what's happening? My name is John Paul from BraveFathers.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to share some of my thoughts after reviewing some of the events that have been happening over the past week and just in general, and things that I'm noticing while doing this work about men in today's modern age. And the biggest question is, are men losing? And the reason why I'm asking this question is that a lot of social media activity, really, especially from Red Pill and similar groups, comes down to complaining about how men are having a bad life because of women, the negative things that happen to men because of women. So, having gone through family course myself, knowing how it's biased against men, how unfair the system is against fathers, and having worked with many fathers and spoken to many fathers and people who help fathers as well, I am aware of a lot of the wrongs that fathers experience. And in general, we all know that in the modern day, men seem to be seen as evil, as criminals, as oppressors, as essentially the villains, the bad guys, right? And when it comes to things like divorce, most men get the worst part of the deal. And of course, when it comes to see their children, the same thing happens. Dating, everybody seems to be complaining about dating. Everybody's complaining about dating. We have people who try to offset what they consider to be the disadvantage that men have. And a lot of it is quite interesting to observe. And I want to address it because my view is that I accept that there is a lot of wrongdoings against men. And the society as a whole, the Western society today, is really not respectful of masculinity, of male authority. And a lot of the males we have in the media who are supposed to represent us are just not very masculine, really. They are very weak. They don't stand for anything. And truly, one way or the other, they just parrot feminist talking points or things that favor women rather than favoring men. We all know in many countries there are ministers for women and girls, but there's no such thing for men. And where there is such a thing for men, it's essentially saying, hey, man, do all these nice things for women. You go to church, it's the same thing. Um, they say, be the kind of Christian man that a woman would want, and so forth. And especially after the COVID thing, I noticed a big shift in how men view themselves and how they view women in dating. And one thing I observed is that a lot of men have become way more passive about dating, possibly because of the dating apps. Possibly during COVID, people just got comfortable swiping instead of going out to meet women. A lot of places shut down after COVID, so it's not as simple as it was before when it comes to going out, because whereas before you could just go out to a local bar or pub and it would be full of people, these days you may have to go to another town or another city to meet women and so forth. It's not like before. And yet, in all this, I cannot also at the same time accept that we cannot have a better life and better relationships with women. So what do I mean? Now, as a disclaimer, all these are my opinions and my views. I have made many of the mistakes I'm going to talk about. I've not made all of those mistakes, but I've observed some of them. Some of them I've made them. I'll do my best to own up to my mistakes as much as I can. And this is important because perhaps that's where I should start from. The first thing that I'm noticing that is really affecting us and is stopping men from progressing is we have lost the ability to take criticism. So I remember being a teenager and I was so eager to go to boarding school, right? Because I knew I was going to go to boarding school. But the main reason I wanted to go to boarding school is that I knew there are older guys, more experienced with life, more experienced with dating, experience with, I like music, so music, performing, things like that, and just have that, big brother energy that I craved so much. And I wanted to be told what I was doing wrong, how I could improve, how I could be better. Like, that's what I was eager to experience. People complain about hazing. Now they see it as a bad thing. I was looking forward to it. I was like, yeah, this is how I'm going to toughen up. I'm going to go through all this stuff and become a stronger male. And I was very disappointed when hazing was really forbidden at the time. It was really, what's the word? When they cracked down, it was cracked down upon, like they really decided to cut it down when I went to school. So so the year before they had it, and when I went in, there was a little bit of it. For the modern age, that would be like crazy. I don't think people would be able to stand it. But for that time, it was, not so tough or as tough as I wanted it to be. One of the boys' blocks, because it was a mixed sex school, there was one part, the block was called the jungle, and I was not in the jungle. The jungle had like a tough regime, actually. They used to put all the guys on the front yard of their block, and they had to do like push-ups and exercises and things like that. We didn't do that. But nonetheless, I was looking forward to that authority from older guys to teach me about life, to teach me about the world, to tell me things that my father couldn't tell me or wouldn't tell me, because obviously it was not necessarily appropriate or whatever. But some things it was just a thing that the boys were expected. Many of us were excited about, especially when it comes to learning how to meet girls. We knew that the older guys have experience, they know what to do, they would teach us, right? It was a thing. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and it's true. You need different people on different levels to teach you. So I was looking towards to that authority. One thing that's funny is I used to like to smoke weed in those days, which I've since mostly quit. I don't smoke on regular anymore. I can't remember the last time I did smoke. It's been at least a couple of years. But I reserve the right to smoke at some point if I want to. But in those days, if you didn't study, the guys would be like, you can't smoke with us. Like, you literally had to do your obligations as well and have some kind of decent life for the older guys to be like, yeah, you can smoke with us. It wasn't like you could just do anything you wanted. So even though, yeah, I would argue it is wrong to smoke at that young age, I don't think if I could go back in time that I would do it the same way. I probably wouldn't. Probably I wouldn't have started smoking at all, because one of my biggest regrets is smoking. Smoking, period, like cigarettes and stuff. Like, that's one of my biggest regrets in life. But nonetheless, they looked at us and they said, look, I'm hearing you're not studying. I'm hearing you're not showing up for class, things like that, because I used to be a bit of a rough kid. And the older guys would call us out on it. They would punish us. They had the authority to punish us where I was for certain things. And it was not a problem, and it shaped us. It gave us confidence, because you knew that when they told you something you're doing right, you knew it was right. And there was that respect that now in the modern age, probably people won't get it. They won't understand it. But a lot of people who had, older guys mentor them can relate to that experience, right? And the criticism and the roasting and the making fun of you was part of the process. Like that's how we learn. But today, even the tiniest disagreement becomes a big problem. Like things that should be non-material, like an opinion about a video game, for example, could end up in a serious emotional outburst, which I find very disturbing and very unfortunate because there are more serious things to come in life. So if we can't, disagree on things and disagree and live with it, then how are we going to be men? And now comes the next issue. Because now to say you are a man and define yourself as a man is also a problem. Because we've adopted a mentality where we want to be more, what's the word? We want to feel liked. We want to feel like people don't think badly of us. We don't want to feel any shame. We don't want to feel any negative emotion. And we want to have the same degree of emotional freedom as women do. Now, this is a tricky one because I believe in equality under the law, right? I believe that men and women should be held equally accountable as adults because by definition you're adults for the things that we do equally. So I don't think we should be more lenient with women when it comes to crime or any public liability or liability towards another person, that we should be more lenient than we are towards men. So that's equality. At the same time, when it comes to personal relations or just relating to the world as yourself, of course, we don't need to punish you as a man if you start crying in public. But we can't expect people to feel sorry us just because we are crying in public. We can't expect people to feel sorry for us because we are crying in public as men. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right. I think everybody should be paid attention to, but it's not something we can expect. Because part of being a man is being proactive about going what you want. And I think that's one thing that's really missing. Because a lot of guys will go and say, but women don't have to do it. Right? And the biggest one in dating being guys saying, but women get approached. Why don't they approach us? Which completely disregards the male-female sexual dynamics. And I understand why, because the modern ideology has made it look like there's no such thing as male leadership or male authority, or those things are bad things. Regardless, those things are real. A female cannot get sexually attracted to a man who cries to her about losing at work. Maybe he didn't get a promotion and he comes from crying. No matter what the females will tell you, oh, that's vulnerable, we want to see your emotions. It's just talk, because that's what's popular. In reality, it is very unattractive to females. It's very unattractive. Likewise, we have this looks maxing trend, which is still a passive trend because you are trying to make yourself beautiful, handsome, good looking, hoping that women will want you. And guys actually believe this stuff. And they spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, I'm sure some do, to change their looks. And that does not attract women. And despite the evidence from people like Clavicular who have said, look, outside of the camera, no woman wants to hang out with me from these girls that you see me with. And I really respect him for saying that. I really respect the fact that he said it. I really respect that because he said the truth. Because you putting so much effort in your looks will turn women off. Not the fact that you look good, the fact that you've taken the time to powder your face, or the fact that it took you an hour to comb your hair, or that you put on makeup. Women would not like that. And we are really getting to a stage in society where my words right now are offensive. You're actually there. I can see these words actually being outlawed, where you cannot say things like this. I think it's really coming. I think we are getting to a time where respecting masculinity, looking for it, showing it may be punishable by law. I know it sounds crazy and dystopian, but after COVID, nothing surprises me anymore, right? We've had, I think, the USA government has released some alien footage and stuff like that. Nobody really gives a shit because we are so far gone. We are so far gone that nothing surprises us anymore. But the problem is a lot of the things that we experience as men can be changed without the system changing, but just with male authority. Let's look at people like Will Smith or Aka Singh or Abba from Abba and Preach, right? It's very surprising to me that most males who watch what's going on don't see how those guys are at fault here. Now, I'm not excusing the actions of those women. Those women are wrong. They are wrong in what they are doing. So Jocelyn Singh is wrong to disrespect Aka Singh. Jada Pinkett Smith is wrong to disrespect Will Smith. And I don't know what her name is, can't remember her name, but Abba's girlfriend, the one who got pregnant, and apparently there's another one, is also wrong for the way she went about it. I don't agree with it. At the same time, the accountability is on the men because we are the leaders. Even if we don't accept the role of leadership, we are still the leaders. Even if the society denies the value and importance of male authority, we are still the leaders. We are still the ones who lead. Now, let's look at Abba. She leaked a phone call, right, of them discussing it, the abortion and stuff like that, which I am against abortion myself. But that's what they were discussing. That's what they wanted to do. And he, instead of saying, look, woman, this is what we're going to do, whatever it is that decided, and this is how it's going to go, he's asking her, how do I get rid of you? And at the time, to the best of his knowledge, she was still pregnant. So he should have given her the option of what he was going to do. Like, I'm against abortion, but if that's what they were doing, then he said, look, this is what we can do. The other option is uh, um, I take care of the child with you. We're not going to be friends. We're not going to spend time together, but I'll do my share of parenting this child, and taking care of the child. Or whatever the plan was for him. But instead of leading, even in that position, he was saying, what do I do to get rid of you? What do I do to get rid of you? Asking her to make the decision. And listen, whilst you're in a personal relationship, the heterosexual dynamic is the man leads and the woman follows. Period. Anytime that does not happen, it's a problem. And all the evidence shows it. But nobody wants to accept it, right? We have the Red Book talking about hypergamy and bullshit, which I'll come to in a moment, because that's one thing people argue with me about. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Right? But nobody's saying, look, when you saw her, you've only known her for 5 months. How did she get pregnant within 5 months? That means you're having unprotected sex with her. If you're having unprotected sex with her, she will get pregnant. You are the man, you lead. You don't do that. Have I made that mistake? Yes, I've done that. I've slept with women without using any protection that I knew for a short while. I've done that. So I'm not saying I'm innocent of that. But it is wrong of me to do that. I was wrong to do that. That's not how a man behaves. That's weak leadership. And I was weak as a leader. I'm not here to say, I always got it right. The whole point is to learn from our mistakes and share with each other and help each other to learn and to move forward. That's why we are here. That's the whole point. That's why we are here. So it makes no sense to me where we have somebody like Abba making long videos about how she's wrong. Nigga, you are creating more problems for yourself. It is very simple. You either take care of the child or you won't. You should not have let it happen, because if you let properly and you didn't want a child, she wouldn't be pregnant. Like, I've always wanted to be a father. Always, since I was a young boy. So I wanted children. Like, I've never wanted any woman in my life to do an abortion. If any one of them did, that would be the end of our relationship forever. I'm not aware or have evidence of that ever happening. But if that did happen, that would be the end of it forever. It's not something I would, you know, forgo, that I would let go of. That's done. We are done. I don't believe in that. Right? So that's me. But he doesn't have a problem with it, even though in his videos he's spoken against guys who make their girls get abortions. So that is what even kills me the most, that about the modern males that we have today. Nobody wants to stand for anything. Like, when I talk to people on X, they're like, oh, why is everything so black and white? Motherfucker, it's black and white because it's yes or it's no. What is this fucking gray area, always looking for a way out? And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect with that, but at least make some decisions. Like I'm saying, I am against abortion. It's clear. It's not, oh, if this and that. Yes, I do understand there are a few exceptions in criminal situations, or if there is a risk to the mother's life, then you have to make the choice. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking as you don't want a child and the woman is pregnant. That is different. If you guys consensually had sex and the woman gets pregnant, then it's the responsibility of both of you to take care of the child that comes from it, even if you don't want that child. Make yourself want it. I don't care. Now, I'm not forcing anybody to do what they want to do, but that's my stance, right? That's my stance. Now, we have condoms, by the way, just to make sure it doesn't happen to you. But what guys don't realize today is that a lot of women are just running wild, but partly it's because there is no males with structure. There is no males with authority. When I say authority, like using my example, I'm against abortion. That eliminates any female that thinks abortion is an option from my life. When she hears my words, she's like, screw that motherfucker. Like, I'll never date him. Yes, that's exactly what the effect is supposed to be. Because it's a hard line, right? I've mentioned before, I don't expect a relationship where we are trading insults back and forth. Yeah, I know there's some words that may come into a conversation sometimes. That's, at my discretion. But there's never something like, I call you names, you call me names, I call you more names, you call me. I don't do that shit. I don't relate to women that way. Now, have I ever called a woman names when I was younger? Yes, I'm sure I have. Well, I know I have. And it was wrong of me. It was wrong of me. You learn as you go. The problem is these days, nobody wants to accept mistakes. But I'm saying that these are my hard lines. So a guy will be like, oh, but she's sexy, or she's just in a mood, or the new bullshit, perimenopause. So the guys tolerate this kind of disrespectful behavior towards themselves. These guys are willing to be insulted and disrespected even in front of other people by the woman they are married to or the woman they are dating. because they think, oh, I'll still get sex afterwards. I'll just endure this because it's nothing. They make excuses. So because of that, they end up in these situations. And one challenge I'm facing now, I'm seeing, is that when I raise this thing, people think that I'm on the side of women, and they think I'm not on the side of women, and I'm not on the side of men. I'm not on nobody's side. I'm on my side. I'm on my side. Like this gender war bullshit is not helping anybody. Because I remember a time where if a woman did something wrong, people would say, yeah, she was wrong. And it wouldn't be like a thing against women. It's just that she's wrong. Yeah, some women would defend her, but overall, people could accept, yeah, she was wrong. The same with the opposite. If a man did something wrong, we could accept, oh, the man was wrong. And we knew he was wrong. It's not like all men are now wrong. But now we have this defense mechanism where any criticism towards either gender is taken as a criticism of the whole gender. And sometimes I do accept that feminists started it, that the criticism is meant to be against the whole gender. But we don't follow women. We are not supposed to do that. We are not supposed to react the same way because it creates more problems. And it looks like the modern males don't have any example of anything different. And they are told to emulate people from movies, which is, excuse me, excuse me, which is unrealistic because everybody has to be who they are. You have to be your own person. You have to be yourself. And I know people are allergic to that these days because everybody thinks you have to put on a persona. You have to be fake. You have to lie all the time about who you are and what you are. No. So my point is, where we lose as men is instead of trusting our instincts and understanding that we are the leaders, we have the authority over our own lives, and you build the life accordingly. So what does this mean in practice? If you are Will Smith, you either divorce, I think they're divorced now, Jada Pinkett Smith, whatever the fuck her name is, or shut the fuck up. Akash Singh has decided to take their disrespect and live with it. That's how low his self-esteem is. And he thinks, like many modern males, that when you criticize him, it's because you're jealous of him or you're just hating or whatever. No. You are the epitome of what modern males are becoming. And I like Jocelyn Singh, actually. I've learned to like her. Because if her husband has given her the permission to run her mouth, who am I to criticize her for it? Who am I to criticize her if her husband says, bitch, run your mouth? Disrespect me on the internet all day long and I will defend you. Who am I to criticize her? And her shit is entertaining. It's funny. I find it funny. I find it very hilarious. Very entertaining. I have to do some videos on that too, probably. So, I wouldn't tolerate that in my life, right? It's like you watch Mike Tyson or Anthony Joshua or any boxer that you like. You don't want to be in the ring, but you watch the fight. You'll be like, oh, ooh, right? You watch that, you enjoy watching the punches, but you don't get any punches. So it's the same thing with Jocelyn Singh. I like watching her talk that trash with her pretty face. I like it. I love it. I want to see more of it. So more. And Akash Singh has stepped down so that she has more space to run her fucking mouth. And that's great. That's great. So, where was I? Every man decides, but the reality of life is you have to build it. You have to build it. You have to have the vision and build it, right? Like I'm building the Brave Fathers Project. I have to have my vision and bring it into the world. But it comes from a tiny, tiny, tiny seed that is so small you can't even see it. It comes from one word. It comes from a basic principle. And the same thing with your life and your relationships. You don't go and impress women. You go and find women who are aligned with what you want for yourself. You have to find a woman who is aligned with you, not a woman who likes you. You have to find a woman who respects you, who is sexually attracted to you, who wants to follow your lead. You don't make a woman follow you. Like when I see all these coaches, look, I'm a bad person, right? Well, am I? Probably I'm a bad person to some degree. I have to be careful with my words, but I don't know how else to put it. I have dated women in committed relationships in the past. It's not something that I'm prone to do these days. I can't even say I'll never do it again. But when I say this, I say this to make you understand that these women, when they don't respect you, they treat you in a certain way, but they treat the guy they want in a different way. You are not in the same category. So a woman who says at home, I don't want to have sex anymore because of the kids. If you've ever been the guy who she has sex with, you know that she was lying to the husband or the boyfriend. Right? And I'm not saying I'm proud of it. Like I know a lot of people hate me. They'll say, "What kind of father are you?" Listen, I'm not a fucking saint. Unfortunately, I am not a saint. I'm a sinner. I sin. I do bad things. I do things that I shouldn't be doing. Sometimes I'm horrible to people. I say mean things. Right? I don't tolerate that in my personal relationship, but to strangers, I have a very different standard if they cross me. You cannot go through life thinking that you're going to please everybody. You cannot. But you also cannot live your life thinking that a woman who doesn't want you is going to want you somehow. So, of course, she's going to screw you in divorce. You watch my interview with Locario. Locario is still on good terms with his ex-wife, and nobody is surprised by that. Why? Because he chose a woman who respected him, who respects him still. Because he led his relationship. When you put yourself in a certain position, you get the advantage of not having to deal with bullshit. And again, I've done the mistake of not leading. And I've led, so I know the difference. I know the difference. There is a book called The Road Less Traveled, I think. And it says something about you can only let somebody win if you know how to win, if you've won before. I'm paraphrasing. So it's the same thing here. If you don't allow yourself to win, you cannot concede to other people and you cannot help other people. Hypergamy, the red pill, monkey branching. All it means is you are in the losing position and these are now your choices. That red pill is basically how to act from a losing position. What's the losing position? You put the woman above yourself. You put your money, your looks, your status above your character. And all in the name of being attractive to a woman. So of course, if you come showing up with your watch, your car, your millions of dollars, your millions of followers, of course, if that's what you used to attract her, and the next guy comes and he has 3 times more than you, of course she's gonna go to him. But I see what drives these guys crazy is when the woman goes with someone who has less money, less status, and is not even good looking. They will be like, oh, he's a trash person. Why is he trash? Why is he trash? You said, listen, if she left, right, and you wanted her, that means you value her to some degree. So if she chose another man, why is he trash if she chose him? Because if she stayed with you, you wouldn't call her names and call him names. We need to start, you know, being honest with ourselves. And I know that's not the popular thing today, especially in this internet world. I know blaming other people, putting other people down is the fashionable thing to do. I know that that's how we get clicks and views. But we need to preserve masculinity. And being macho and being masculine are not the same thing. Masculinity is not defined by society. It's a force that exists as is. It's an absolute. That's why you need to have certain decisions made about what you stand for. That's why you have to be sure of what you want. And when you're not sure, you have to be willing to live with that uncertainty until you are sure. But in the meantime, you have to figure out how you're moving. Is it easy? No, it's very difficult. But that's how you get a better life. So when you have a woman and you see her, oh, I like her. Let's say you approach her, right? Let's just say you approach her, you start talking to her. From the very start, you have to start leading. If you really want to have a conversation with her, say, listen, let's go over here so I can hear you better. If she's not interested, let it go. And you have fucking pickup artists who say, oh no, you can't do that. You have to face DHV, you have to do IOIs, you have to do higher value, you have to, all this bullshit. Like, everything has to be complicated to avoid a rejection, to avoid a hard no. That's not how men move. And you've been convinced that there is no woman who actually go with you. And listen, when I first heard this kind of advice, when I was getting to learn this stuff, I also felt the same way. But I trusted my mentorship. I trusted the people who were teaching me. Because I said, no girl would follow me. But I said, well, let me try that. Lo and behold. Look, you don't have to suffer the way other guys are suffering. It's very sad and it's very unfortunate that so many of us males today are suffering. It's very sad and it's bad. Like, I've been down to the edge, right? Where I was like, I can't. And looking back, I'm so sorry to myself, to the world, to everybody who loves me for even thinking such thoughts of ending it. I'm so sorry for that. Like, it's so horrible, like, now that I look back, that I was actually in that state. I allowed myself to get to that level. And looking back, I know that a lot of those things could have been prevented by leadership. And leadership is not the same as coercion or forcing people to follow you. Leadership means what? You go first. I want my life this way, right? Guys don't understand this, for example. Not every woman wants to be married to a rich business owner. Many don't. A lot of women don't care about that stuff. Like, yeah, they will enjoy the fruits of it. They'll enjoy the money and the gifts and stuff and the status, but they don't care about it the way you think they do. You have more worth as a man who values himself than you realize. But you have to give yourself and you have to give the woman a chance to know it. And you do it by leading, by going first. Some women just want a guy who does his 9 to 5. Many does that's what they want. I'm not saying be what women want. I'm saying if that's what you want, then you do that. Do your 9 to 5. Yes, there are things that come with it. So you choose a good company. You choose, to be an elite performer in your field so that you have the choice of the best options for yourself. Like everything that you want that is good in life, you have to work for it. You have to learn how to respect yourself at the maximum level, love yourself at the maximum level. That's how a woman can respect you that way, because she's going to respect you only as much as you can respect yourself. And we don't get it because that's not how we think. We think, wow, look at that ass, look at those tits. But they don't look at us the same way. There's nothing wrong with liking ass and tits, but you have to also expect more from that woman. If you are the one who wants to build a business, you can't be with a woman who wants a guy who wants a 9 to 5. And you have to be man enough to realize this woman cannot be with me because she wants a guy with a simple life. But I'm the guy who has to travel sometimes for a week or 2 weeks or 3 months. And she may have to travel with me. She's not built for that. So let me find a woman who is built for that. And the opposite is also true. I'm the 9 to 5 guy, right? That's what you say to yourself, 9 to 5. I want to come home, eat dinner, play with my kids, play video games, fuck my wife, go to sleep. This woman wants to travel. I don't like traveling. Like, I don't like traveling myself. I don't, right? When I travel for business or for work, I do it because I have to, but it's not my thing at all. I don't like traveling. I like the place. I don't like the journey, right? So I don't like sitting in airplanes. I hate airplanes. I hate buses. I hate transportation, to be honest. I walk a lot. I really don't like transportation, like machine transportation. So I cannot be with a woman who wants to travel on holidays every summer or every Christmas or every 3 months or whatever, because it's not in my personality. Or I have to be willing to let her go on her own. Either way. But that's your leadership. Before you've met the woman, you decide on those things. But we don't do those things. Nobody teaches us to do this. So we get married, we have kids with this woman with whom we are not compatible. So I don't want to blame feminism on everything. I want us to take control. I want us to start valuing our leadership, to start valuing our authority. That's what I want us to start doing. I don't expect a woman to come into my life knowing what I want. I have to tell her. And a lot of guys are willing to pretend in the beginning just to get her. And then they start arguing later, fighting, like, and I know guys in my life that, that are close to me that I know, and I see it when they do it, like, oh, she's arguing me about X, Y, and Z. But it's because when you met her, you were pretending not to be that way. Because we are taught from childhood, through movies, through parents, and so on and so forth, that women are scarce. That's difficult to get a woman. It's not. It's difficult when you've been indoctrinated with all that bullshit. Then yes, it's gonna be hard for you. Not because it's difficult naturally, it's because you have to unlearn a lot of the things that you were doing wrong. The same with family courts. Family courts are unfair, but how they were able to get to that level is so many males who, because it's males who enforce it at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's the males who will enforce it. The males have been indoctrinated the wrong way. But even when you're dealing with family courts, you still have to take the leadership role. And it may sound crazy. It's like, how can I take a leadership role in a system that's biased against me? I'll tell you how. You decide what outcome you want, and you push with every bit of power that you've got towards that outcome. And you spend time, you spend hours, effort, money to get that outcome. And the sooner you start, the better. When people tell me that I was lucky to get a shared live with order, or I was lucky to win my appeal, it makes me angry because, listen, it's not like I've not lost hearings. It's not like I was not able to see my kids. It's not like I was able to see the kids all the time. It's not like I've not lost money, business, people, family. I've lost a lot in the process. The difference is I persevered. I kept going. The difference is I said to myself, I'm going to win. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to start reading law. I said, I'm going to have to represent myself because I couldn't trust any lawyer to do a good job for me, to put in the kind of effort, the degree of work that I expected to be done to do the most important thing in my life, which is take responsibility for the children. I didn't trust anybody because the lawyers I had, they did a good job, they did their best, but I realized they are also indoctrinated by the system. They don't know how to think creatively. So when fathers come to me, the solutions we work with, the things we do, they are not the conventional way. If you go the conventional way, you will lose. If you just go in there thinking, oh, I'm going to say my side of the story. Nobody gives a fuck about your side of the story, which is correct. Which people say nobody cares about the fathers. Then nobody cares about the fathers. So I realized, wait a minute, they don't care about me. So there is zero return on investment if I make this about me. I had to make this about the child. Always about the child. Because that's what the court says. It's about how to get the best outcome for children. Child focused. That's what they call it in the UK. So you have to make it about the children. Not about you, not on your side of the story. Nobody gives a shit. And that's it. That's it. And you'll be surprised that in many ways, nobody gives a fuck about the mother either. They really don't. Yes, they favor mothers, not because they care about them. Don't get it wrong, because these people don't care. There are political reasons, there are financial reasons why they favor mothers, there are just habits and so on and so forth, the path of least resistance. But it's not caring, it's not love, it's not genuine interest in the best outcome for either parent. And yes, there's a lot of bullshit, but you have to study it all. You have to know it all. And then act accordingly. So I realized those things. So, when I threw away my notes, I had like bins this big full of notes. Sometimes I wish I kept all those things, but I made lots of notes, read, and I still read because I needed to help you. And I practiced what I was going to say in court. I practiced my speech, my arguments. When I lost, I thought I was done. But I got up, I fought again. Right? So I wasn't lucky. There was, look, I'm not allowed to say everything that happened in court, but believe me, there were some horrible experiences that I had. I'm not special like that. The difference is I won't give up till I get what I want. I'll always get what I want. So help me God. Always. That's the difference. So you have to be determined. You have to be determined. And when it doesn't work out, you find another way. And sometimes, listen, sometimes things just don't work out the way you want them. So you have to find another way. Because no matter what happens, you're still the father. And I realized that how I show up for the kids is how I show up every day when the kids are not around, right? And I like to use the example of a theater play. The play may last 2 or 3 hours, but it took months to rehearse. And it took years for the actors, for the writers, to the technical people, and all those people to mature, to learn their craft, to put on that spectacle for 2 or 3 hours. The same thing when you watch your favorite band. And the same principle applies to performing in court. The same thing applies to performing in bed when you're fucking your wife or your girlfriend. You can't just squeeze your butt cheeks and come and think, oh, she should be satisfied. Like some guys prepared that, oh, if she doesn't have sexual experience, she will like you. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. We can't adopt this mentality of we want women to be afraid of us in order to follow us. Like, oh, you know, she has to know you could cheat on her or something. No, no, those scare tactics, those insecure mindset, we have to let go of them. And that's how we start winning as men. That's how we have a generation of confident boys who grow up to be confident men and women who want to follow them, right? We don't need to imprison anybody in the society to be anything other than themselves. That's how the people who lead us think, the politicians and many of the corporate leaders, because that's all they know. But we can show them a different way, and they have to ultimately listen to us, the people, one way or the other. And hopefully this time we'll learn from history and it won't be like how it has been before, right? Where it's a conflict on a stupid scale where people are getting hurt for no good reason. But in the meantime, what we can't do is be our best selves. Every man can be his best self. You can be your best selves. Every day, little by little, you try to improve. Every day you improve one thing, a tiny bit, for yourself, how you want it, right? So I always say, find a thing that you love just for yourself and do it for only you. Nobody else has to benefit from it than you. You have to learn when and how to be selfish, because it's not your job to sacrifice your whole self. All this, you see, when fathers come to me and they say, oh, I sacrificed myself, I did all that I was supposed to do. Says who? Who says that's what you were supposed to do? Was that your own idea, or did you just follow society, wrongly believing society will reward you? Now you've learned the society will not reward you. The woman will not reward you. Nobody's going to reward you. So you have to start learning to think for yourself what you want and how you want it. That's how we move forward. That's how we move forward. So my position is we have been indoctrinated from childhood, perhaps from generations now, into devaluing ourselves as men. We've been indoctrinated to see ourselves as same as women, and we should want what they want and suppress what we want for ourselves. People will shame you for looking at some ass, for looking at some tits. Like I'm not into pornography, but if that's your thing, that's your thing, right? If I ever get into that, I'll probably be selling it. If I'm making money from it, I don't have a moral argument against it personally. I don't think it's the best thing to do, but knowing that it's not the best thing morally does not stop me from doing something. As long as I believe it is not going to hurt or harm anybody, then I don't really have an opposition to it. And I'm clear on that. Don't let people shame you. People try to shame guys for playing video games. After this show, I'm gonna play some video games. And I'm gonna enjoy it. I want to get better at video games, you know? It's one of the things I want to do. I'm gonna do some writing as well. I have a lot of writing to do. I've worked on publishing. So I have to do a lot of writing as well. I'm gonna do some reading. These are the things I want to do for me. Outside of any interactions with anybody else in the world. Because you have to grant yourself the time. You have to grant yourself the space to do what you want for yourself. So to sum up, I don't want us as men to live in a victim mentality. I don't want us to feel sorry for ourselves. I know that's the most popular thing right now. I really hope the trend changes. Because believe me, women will follow. When they see guys being confident in themselves, building themselves up, not for women, for themselves, they're like, oh, I can follow him, I can follow him. I never understood this, you know, till later, that women actually seek leadership. That was like a new thought for me. That was a very strange thought to me. I was like, women seek leadership, but why are they so rebellious? One could argue that that's anger at lack of leadership, but they always seek leadership. Notice, OnlyFans was started by a man, and it's still men who are the majority of customers. So the women are still following the demand of what men want. Think about that. They're still following the demand of what men want. Think about it. If women were independent thinkers like that, they would start their own OnlyFans, by women for women. Where are all the businesses by women for women? Where are all the women-only gyms succeeding? All of them close down very quickly. They want to be where men are. They want to spend time with men. They want men to look at them sexually, regardless of what they say. That does not mean going and be glaring at a woman who's clearly not interested, right? It doesn't mean that they want every man to glare at them. I'm not saying that. But they still seek male attention because that's their nature. And they seek male leadership too. And if the males fail to provide it, they'll find another kind of leadership. But what I'm saying is, OnlyFans was not a thing where women said, oh, here's what we're going to do. Let's build a platform. No, a man built a platform and says, hey, you want to show a vagina for money? Come and do it on my platform. And boom, everybody flooded. They flooded the platform and started showing their vaginas for money and playing with their buttholes for money. Right? They did not initiate it. They did not initiate it. So, on that note, listen, if you are in the UK and you need help with your family court case and you want an unconventional way that's going to give you the best chance of winning, click the link below. Go to bravefathers.com right now. That's bravefathers.com right now. I'm going to arrange to speak with you. The first hour consultation is at absolutely no cost, no obligation to you. You'll know what to do and you have practical steps. There are things that I cannot say online for obvious reasons. And I've helped fathers with some of the most horrendous allegations that they had to face and still help them have contact with their children, or at the very least, have the chance where there was no chance before, where it was basically taken away from them. I can't give you any guarantees, but I can definitely help you move forward. So go to the link below, click on the link below, bravefathers.com. Thank you for watching today's show. Let me know any questions. If you subscribe, I will appreciate it. So do subscribe it. Put a like, put a heart on the video. And remember, when in doubt, you are the truth.
BraveFathers.com.